Welcome back, Golflings, to my weekly vlog series. Today we're going to start with a question about me, the medium. The question is thus: where did I study? Now, Golflings, when I was studying the craft of ghost hunting, there weren't any universities that they have now for ghost hunting, so I had to talk to a witch called Gorbetha. And Gorbetha taught me how to commune with the spirits before she was consumed by a demon. The lesson on that, the better. Anyway, today's ghost story comes from Green Temperature 57. It's titled Haunted Airbnb. Now, Ghostwings, I chose this story because often there aren't haunted Airbnbs. So, let's look into this story. It starts with wife and I rented an Airbnb in Conroe, Texas, I think, for a wedding we recently attended. Who is getting married? What is your relation to these people? This is important for the ghost story. I hope they put that next time. It was a nice home in a nice neighborhood. We really lucked out. First red flag, Goslings. Nice neighborhood. What else is a nice neighborhood full of? Nice people? No. Trauma and ghosts! It was well maintained even though the furnishings and decorations were from another era. Think 50s or the 70s update. Ghostlings, that sounds awful. There was another recent update likely to make it presentable as a rental. As we got comfortable, we surmised that it was likely an elderly relative who recently passed away, and the family that inherited it decided to do short-term rentals. We noticed that there were a lot of coasters on the tables. We got the hint and were sure to use them. Good etiquette. When visiting someone's house, use our coaster. Do not ruin someone's table. I've seen many people be because they did not use a coaster. At one point, we even started, for fun, to express out loud something along the lines of, "Don't worry, Grandma, we're using the coasters." Goslings, just because you assume it's a grandma doesn't mean you have to be rude and say, "Don't worry, Grandma, everyone should be using a coaster, not just old people." The first night was uneventful, and we woke up and spent most of the day at the wedding. Came back late and got ready for bed. Wife and I prefer to sleep in separate rooms. Good choice, Goslings. Good choice. Mostly because I snore. Do people still do that? But also for the comfort of having your own schedule. I tend to go to bed earlier. I said goodnight and brought a glass of water to the bedroom. I put the cup on the nightstand and crawled under the comforter. Comfy, Goslings. As soon as I was tucked in, I heard the cup fall and bounce around quite a bit. I thought it was odd as I didn't see a way that could have been knocked. I got out of bed and cleaned up the mess and immediately noticed I didn't use a coaster. Goslings. Without even thinking, I said, "Sorry, Grandma," as I wiped up the spilled water. That was it. There would be no story. But that's a pretty good story, Goslings. You admitted to a crime on Reddit publicly about not using a coaster. You should go to jail, Goslings, for that. When I looked for the cup, it was dead center, under the bed, standing straight up. I was unable to reach it. I needed a broom to gather it in the morning. I genuinely felt that something odd happened. That is suspicious, Goslings, but kind of funny. The ghost is probably you think, "I'm a grandma, you can't even get the cup out." Whoa! That's probably how they laughed. I get back in bed and drift to sleep. At some unknown hour, there was a sound. Close sounding bang and a terrifying shriek I've never heard in my life, shot straight up from the dead of sleep. That is exactly what I did, from dead to the world to sitting straight up and wide awake. I got out of bed and did a quick lap around the house, not seeing anything out of sorts, go back to bed. I'm telling the story to my wife in the morning, and she looks almost pale. She said she also heard a loud bang in the middle of the night that startled her awake. She did not recall a shriek, but said the bang sounded right outside the wall, and it terrified her. I agreed that this is what I experienced as well. The only thing we could figure out is that the grandma threw a tantrum for my lack of using a coaster. A perfectly reasonable reaction to that, Goslings, I would say, anyway. I kind of wanted to leave a short version of the story on the review, but felt it better to just give 5 stars and let future guests know what a charming house it is. You should have left that disclaimer, Goslings. This is a disclaimer to the world, a public service announcement. Use coasters, or ghosts will get mad. This ghost in particular, and this ghost could be transferred to any house. Goslings, this is a curse. This is not a ghost. This is a curse the Airbnb owners have placed on guests that disrespect their coaster rule. You don't use a coaster, you're going to be made to feel very uneasy, uncomfortable, and unsafe in this house unless you use a coaster. Anyway, Ghostwings, thank you so much for watching. If you have any ghost stories, be sure to leave them down in the comments below or on Reddit so we can all read them together. Have a fantastic weekend, Ghostwings. Farewell.